Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm just gonna do another quick watch list video. I apologize if my voice seems a little hoarse today. I kind of lost it over the weekend, so I still wanted to get this video out because I think it's kind of helpful. So let's go ahead and get started. So for Tesla here, um, it's kind of getting really close to this resistance level. I think it's the former support from these few candle bars, and I think the RSI is also getting kind of overextended here. I've been mentioning about this RSI quite a bit. I just haven't made a indicator video quite yet, but it should be up soon. Every time it passes this line is kind of where it's overbought, potentially indicating that it should be within this channel. This is kind of the point of equilibrium where it wants to kind of head back down. So look for potential rejection to this line right here, about this 190.5 marker. Um, if we see a massive gap up, I see it hitting this 193 just below 194 level. If we do see a rejection, my price target would be down to this 181.5 range. So I personally do like this kind of rejection and pullback. I don't if we do pull back, the market's been pretty strong so far. So just play these EMAs for a potential bounce. You don't have to wait for the puts to hit this level. Just take profit as you see it. For Apple here, it looks like there's a little resistance here. There is um, a small little gap fill. It's nothing too big where Apple would finally kind of just fill this gap within one candle, I think. So it's not really. I wouldn't wait for it to play from this to this. It's just too small. It is kind of forming a flag here. You can kind of count these under the wicks here, but ideally, what happens is you push through, fill this gap, maybe it's a slight pullback, but a potentially hit back up to this top. If we do see a downtrend, I'd want to see it kind of hit in this. This would be kind of the price target here, this 172.84 mark, because that's kind of where the resistance is. But you could continue to take profit even at this level, 173.26. This actually is where I'll keep mine, just because by the drop from this area down here, that's an easy 25-30%. We did have a good volume kind of at close, and the RSI is kind of middle, so I can't really say which way it's going, but this flag that's forming, typically you want to wait for it to break here. It's wicked a few times, so definitely wait for confirmation before getting the calls. NVIDIA, the only reason I have this on my watch list is to indicate that there's earnings in 2 days. The um, prices for options are extremely juiced, so I will not be playing it until post earnings. This right here, just wanted to show you guys quickly, like to look at the earnings. You could click here and shuffle through whatever you want. This helps with like what the projections are, what the previous have been. It's been quite a bit of times. You guys can back test exactly kind of how like this has been, and like kind of how it drives the stock. But like the last time I looked at the options this morning, and it was like over $10 a contract, which is just absurd. Amazon, there is a small little gap fill here. It used to be up to here, but notice how it kind of hit it and then rejected. So I moved the rectangle down here. Ours is getting kind of towards the bottom here. What you can also do is if you want to play the uptrend, play this trend line here. I'll make it further out just because if it does potentially move, you guys can kind of play a little bit like that. You can even do your triangles or trend line like that. Um, if it does hit this area, watch for a potential bounce. You guys can also keep an eye on the RSI indicator. and see how it kind of helps. So, like at the bottom here, it doesn't look like it pushed up too much, but it did kind of form like a staircase back up. I kind of Oh, there's another gap fill right here, so I'll extend this over. This is at 108, and the closing of this is 113. There's no way it's going to move that much in a single day, but just keep an eye on this gap fill. So you could play it from 114 uh, or is that, yeah, 114.25 to 113.5, and then potential further downtrend. If it does hit this, it looks like it's going to be behind all the EMAs, which is a nice bearish move. You definitely want to make sure that volume is coming in, but definitely take profits early because right after this gap fill is where you see the head of this cup right here and a few wicks that have also aligned in that area. To play the upside, wait for the break of this trend, and then you can play it back up to 118.55, hopefully, taking profits along the way. So the next, you could take profits. I'm looking at this angle right here. It just gets too messy if I draw out all the lines, but just to show you guys, like you could take profits here, and the next one would be obviously like that right there. Netflix, I think puts would be a nice little move here as long as it holds this break. So we just closed right underneath this support area that I have. I did notice that there's a gap fill here, right there. Again, it's still kind of far away, but Netflix is quite it's a big mover. So just make sure you have this because you do not want to miss a 346 to 341. That's $5 move. Um, but it looks like it's good for the downtrend. Let me see if I switch to the 15-minute here. It still looks about the same. I would definitely, I would definitely play maybe the potential puts depending if it opens flat. If it does open higher than this EMA, I would definitely not smash calls. I would definitely wait until it potentially plays this downtrend. Now, if you're looking to play the upside on it, this is kind of what I'd be watching for. So play it if it breaks above 367, and then you can play it back up to this 370 mark. Now, the one thing I want to emphasize with Netflix is that whenever you are in a play and it moves quick, whether it be in your favor or not. So when it's working in your favor, definitely take profits and sell. But when it's not, you want to make sure that you do not get faked out. So say it holds above this level, it's kind of, I'm starting to draw a channel here, right? So you've seen it reject here, these pivot points. Watch for that here. Now, if it goes up, obviously you can play the upside, but if it falls back down, it may hit this line again. So just keep an eye on that. Let's see, for Roblox, it looks like it's almost like an inverse head and shoulders, but what I see a little bit better is a potential cup and handle. So let's see if I can draw this good. So okay, there's the cup. You got your handle kind of back up, and now I want to see it potentially go back down here. Um, for me to play the puts, it's got to break this, the head of the cup. If you were to say that it's playing the inverse, or yeah, the head and shoulders, this is the shoulder, this is the head, and it's forming the next shoulder, it's still bearish, so it's still going to go down. Now, we did have pretty big buying volume come in, but the candle is still pretty tiny. So at the same time, we've seen this candle, we've seen this candle right here, and then it opens up big, and it had a massive red candle before it kind of ultimately fell back down. I kind of see the same thing here, but this is what I want to look for, this 39.24 level for a potential downside. If it does fall back down, let's look for a possible price target. I think this is probably the first one to play it safe. And if you guys notice, it's the end of this wick. I'm seeing some consolidation right there, and then it continues right here before it pushed back up. So I'll go ahead and make that as my price target. If the market continues pushing, then a break above this is what I'd be watching for. And then you can obviously play this gap fill. It's pretty big. It's not going to get all fill in one candle, so I do want to mark it. It's a dollar move. Amazon contracts are pretty cheap. I think it's worth playing that. Shop. Okay, let's see what we got here. Um, it looks like it rejected. Fell back down into this channel that I've had this drawing. So if it continues to fall down, it's usually like the volume when it opens was pretty strong for this massive push, but we're starting to get some sell volume here. I think if it opens up flat, a potential put entry would be nice, and playing back it down to 60.77. That would be the first potential pivot point. Now, if it continues to drop, you can always try your levels, but this is the ultimate support, this 59.77 marker. Um, if we do get a bounce, I would just, I don't know if I want to play it because the potential bounce would be up to 63, which is only 70 cents, right? You have all this consolidation and stuff. So I would potentially just play the downside because I think that's the better profit margin to your risk. Google, I like this because it's forming a channel. Um, if you've been following my Twitter or if you are in the Discord, you know I love these type of channels. I just play the rejections or the breaks every single time it hits this channel. So um, I do have a position in this currently that I'm swinging, but just keep an eye out. This is what we were looking for, this bounce from this support line and then potentially back up to this 125.65 and breaking upward. Um, I would definitely take profits or set a trim at this line or as close to this as possible so that it's wicked right before this line a few times as well to be even safer, 125.54. But I do like this. This will probably be on the watch list for the rest of this week as well because it'll break and I'll play the upside, or if it breaks below, I'll play the downside as well. Target, it is right on the 50 EMA again. Now, for a little refresher here, um, we've played it before the same way. So it was on the EMA right here, dropped. Look at this drop. We played the upside here. This is the 15-minute again. So if I switch to the 5 minutes, you might see a little bit of the plays kind of working out a little better. So these arrows indicate where it was. But notice how these candles were pretty big. I just stay on the 15 on this because the plays, the 50 EMA, this red line, and the 15-minute marker. So that's what I'm watching for. If it breaks below, then puts. If it bounces, then you can get calls. And notice if it does bounce, you want to break this resistance. And if you break to the downside, this is kind of what I want to see, this 151.17 for a potential break further down. Spot, I think it's at support here. You had a good sell candle there. The last time you had an equivalent volume bar candle like this, it was right at close again. And look what happened. It opened up green, but the falling candles were straight down. I think that's potentially what happens. So if it breaks up here, I want to see it break this 148.46 for potential puts. And then you can play it for a PT right here, I think. I'm playing the top of these wicks. And the pivot point, the bounce of this one. Bounce here, and a bounce there. Pins, let's go to the daily. So on my watch list from last week, I mentioned there was a resistance at this 22.16. I did say like the actual buying shares of the stock would be potentially better because I didn't know how fast it would move. But if you got calls, I guess you're still in the green because it's now at 23.24. Excuse me. 20 yeah, so 23.26. There is a gap fill right here that we ultimately want to play. Shares was just safer because you could play all the way up to here without worrying about theta decay or something. So when it does get to this gap fill, it is 24.5 to 27. I haven't seen much flow quite yet, but I'm assuming as soon as it gets towards this gap fill is when the flow is going to come in hot for this gap. I wouldn't play weeklies on this. Get next week's when it does hit this. But I think that is it for the watch list. I had a few other stocks, but I think these are the main setups I have. Again, I apologize if my voice is a little off. It'll get better throughout the week, but go ahead and drop any comments for any potential stocks that you guys want me to review or anything. I'm pretty good at responding to comments on all three platforms here, Discord or Twitter. Um, that's basically it. Thanks for watching, guys.